The unbelievable saga of renewing a passport. Renewing our passports is a simple process we have to go through every 10 years. This simple process should take no time at all, as it is a relatively straightforward procedure, or at least it should be. However, for me, it took an incredible 288 days. That's correct. You didn't mishear me. It took an incredible 288 days for the UK government's passport office to accomplish this feat. It was a stressful period for me, having to fight my way through several layers of incompetence. Whenever I tried to get any answers as to why it was taking so long, I just found several layers of bureaucracy with no questions receiving an answer. In this video, I guide you through this long, drawn-out and unnecessary saga. The renewal of a passport can be quite a challenging experience, especially when you live overseas. This was to be my third experience of renewing my passport from another country, and I was not expecting the problems I encountered. The renewal process began in late July 2023 when I booked an appointment at VFS Global in Shanghai for the 10th of August. That all went smoothly without any problems. I received a confirmation email the same day to notify me that my passport renewal was underway. They told me it would take around 4 to 6 weeks, although the UK government website was listing a delay of 11 weeks at that time. No problems, I thought, as I had around a year left on my current passport. Several weeks went by, and once it got to the 11th week, I started asking questions as to when I could expect my passport to arrive. VFS Global in Shanghai and elsewhere are only a delivery and collection service for passports and visas, and are provided no advance information on expected delivery dates. By late November 2023, phone calls had been made to the UK on my behalf. Thanks once again, Anthony, and through him I was informed that my passport was in the process of being printed and that it should arrive in China by the 4th of December. 10 days later, and still nothing, I began emailing the UK Passport Office demanding some answers. I also emailed my sister back in the UK and asked if she could contact the Passport Office to try and get some answers. My sister was informed she needed the above information, which I promptly provided her with. Meanwhile, I was receiving emails from the Passport Office such as the above, or information such as the above, which I had to repeat a countless number of times. One of the problems was every time I contacted them, I was repeating the same information as it was a different person. There was no system of collectively storing the information for the next person. This was extremely frustrating. Once again, a message that they cannot trace my application. Why? Once again, providing them with my details, they kept asking for an application number. All I was given in Shanghai was the tracking number of the courier, but the Passport Office could not understand this. Their own system was not working. Again, they are asking for the application number as well as my other details. I lost count of the number of times I explained to them I had only had the tracking number. They eventually tried this and found my details. Despite supplying them with the information countless numbers of times, they continued asking for my details. I think maybe their agents are only trained to deal with the UK and not inquiries from overseas. It was also put to me that these replies could be AI generated and not actually human responses. The first notification that the application had been withdrawn and that it had occurred the day before a phone call had informed me of the progress of my application. So I obviously asked why was this alleged payment problem not mentioned during that phone conversation, when there was no mention of any problems whatsoever. I was fuming. The agents continually asked me if my application was made online. They did not seem to understand that the UK Passport Office does not permit online applications from China, and that applications are only possible through VFS Global. With reference to the withdrawal of my application, they claimed they had repeatedly tried to contact me but were unable to. I supplied them with 2 email addresses, neither of which they used to contact me. As I had not replied to their failure to contact me, their logic claimed this was my fault. Once again, fuming. This particular message really infuriated me, and I will take a few minutes to list all the errors listed. Bear with me. First point, informing me of how to complete an online application. Send in my old passport. From China, every page is color photocopied and sent in with the application. The passport is retained as it is required as official ID. 90-day limit. I exceeded their 90-day limit over their alleged problem. Reminder emails. It states reminder emails would have been sent to me requesting I complete the steps. I received no emails from the UK Passport Office during this first application, so another flaw in their system. Since there was no contact from me within the 90 days, the application was automatically withdrawn. The fee is retained to cover admin costs. How could I know there was a problem if they don't inform me? At this point, they had not mentioned what the payment problem was. The payment was taken in full on the 15th of August, 5 days after I went to Shanghai. The message continued, I appreciate this must be frustrating for you. However, adequate warning was given. No warning was given. And if you still want to apply for a passport, you need to complete a new online application and pay in full. Back to online application. Clearly, the earlier message about not using online applications in China didn't get through to him. My thoughts on that message were, what a load of condescending crap. I live in China. Of course I need a passport. That was an extremely mild version of my response to that message. More shenanigans from the Passport Office through their denial and avoiding giving answers which could have easily solved this problem of their creation. After all, the payment had been received by them back in August. Confirmation of the application number they were unable to find within their system, a handwritten number on the receipt I received in Shanghai. I finally received an inquiry reference number, the first of many that further complicated communications. The final sentence of the message, they will respond as soon as they can. I'm still waiting for them to respond. I hope it doesn't take them much longer to reply. It's now been over 5 months. In frustration at the lack of answers from the Passport Office, I contacted the British Embassy in Beijing because surely your embassy will help out. Obviously not. They refused to deal with passport issues for their nationals overseas and suggested the gov.uk website, the very people I was not getting answers from. Late December 2023, and finally some progress. The customer service management team would reply within 2 working days. Guess what? They didn't get back to me either. A message from my sister. She called the Passport Office, who claimed there was no application pending from me. Further claims they would respond within 2 working days. There is a pattern here. Every 2 days I sent another reminder that they haven't responded. The message reads, "I'm sorry to hear that you've not had any response. I've escalated this with the customer service management team. Please be assured this is being looked into. If we require anything else, the passport officer will be in touch." A polite way of brushing me off and hoping I will go away. I was later asked to provide proof of payment, which I sent as an email attachment. What organisation uses a system where they cannot view email attachments? I then sent it embedded within the email. No explanation was ever given as to why they thought there was a payment issue, despite their taking the payment on the 15th of August 2023. I will try to explain the problem overpayment. The overcomplicated system in use means payment can only be made using a bank card issued by a bank in the UK. Lots of people living outside the UK do not have a UK bank account, so they have to rely on a friend making the payment through their bank card. The UK Passport Office enables this, but when the application arrives in the UK, it would appear the application and payment details go to separate offices, and the connection between the two is lost. It is unbelievable that such an inefficient system is employed by a government agency. This problem would be repeated during my second application to renew my passport. The above is their acknowledging my sending the proof of payment and it being sent on to the customer service management team, and that they again would reply within 2 working days. You can probably guess by now the outcome, and no reply was subsequently sent to me. The incompetence continues. The customer service team is unable to review any payment information and cannot assist further. Now, they have known all along this was a payment issue of their creation, so why was it sent to a department that cannot deal with payment issues? The senior team will contact you once they have investigated the issue and will be able to provide further assistance. I was at no point given direct contact details to any of these departments investigating my passport issue, and had on each occasion I contacted them to go through the inaccessible loop of their system, repeating all the information required at each step of that loop. The frustration of their inaccessible system was beginning to frustrate me. I sent dozens of emails such as this to no avail, and I was given no time frame as to how long this stage of their investigation would take. Relaying to them a few simple truths they seem to have overlooked, or more probable, outright ignored. My issue had been passed on to another department that does not respond. Are these real departments, or just more delaying tactics, hoping I just go away? As progress was non-existent, I began the process of launching an official complaint against this incompetent branch under the authority of the British government. Not a surprise when I was asked to enter all the details once again. Finally, a response. It would take them 15 working days to investigate, though. And once again, I was asked to supply the necessary information. The complaint I launched has to go through the customer service management team, the same team who earlier were unable to review any payment information. Am I being sent round and round in circles? Oh, and they wanted my application number once again. I lost count how many times I had to supply that. And the customer service team are unable to find records of my application, even though this saga has been going on for several weeks, because they do not correspond directly with the person involved and send every inquiry in unnecessary circles. My complaint was finally being reviewed, and it would take another 10 working days to be resolved. It actually took a lot longer after I had to email asking when I would receive an answer. And their decision was that they were not at fault for not contacting me and then withdrawing the application. I approached an independent complaints bureau who stated the UK Passport Office had a two-step complaints procedure, something they had failed to mention, and that I had to go through that process first. Step 1 I had already completed. Step 2 was a repeat of the first step. So I began step 2 of the complaints procedure and received an email acknowledging they had begun a further review. And of course, they need all the details once again. Despite the Passport Office claiming the issue was progressing, I was not confident they will own up to the error being of their creation. As they claimed the fee was not paid, the cardholder approached his bank about having the funds repaid into his account. His bank duly began the process of reclaiming the fee. The Passport Office tried to block the fee being refunded, but the bank were the more powerful here, as the law was on their side, as the Passport Office had not supplied a service they were due to give. So the fee was refunded, and I could begin to apply for my passport again. Now this should be the end of this saga, but sadly it was not. As I was by then working in the northeast of China, it was more convenient to use the Beijing office of VFS Global to apply for my passport renewal. After a simple process of booking an appointment online, I found myself in Beijing on the 1st of March 2024. The process is very straightforward and took about 10 minutes. Before going to Beijing, I printed a letter asking them to include it with my application. They read the letter and confirmed that the UK Passport Office was already aware of problems when they attempted to phone applications from China. So with the UK office already being aware of problems, was it arrogance or ignorance? Using the tracking number supplied by Beijing, I was able to confirm my passport application arrived in the UK's Liverpool Passport Office on the 4th of March. They then sent it on to the Durham office. No progress was made on my application before the 14th of March, when they sent an email to the cardholder about the fee. As I mentioned before, I have no UK bank account, so my friend, thanks again Anthony, completed his bank details for payment. Despite being on an officially approved form from the UK Passport website, they wanted confirmation that he approved this payment. Once he confirmed this, they would take the payment, then inform both he and myself within 48 hours. Of course, from the above message, you can see that did not happen. They were, by this point, sending messages intended for me to the cardholder. He sent them on to me. When I inquired about this with the Passport Office, they had no recollection of my application. Later, I found out my application was logged under the details of the cardholder and not the applicant. Then, in the middle of April, was another delay. They claimed there was an outstanding payment, despite payment being taken in full the previous month. At this time, they had not said what was the reason for this supposed outstanding payment. After a somewhat heated phone call was made on my behalf, the outstanding payment was because the fees had increased after I submitted my application, and some financial wizard in the finance department couldn't calculate the difference between those two dates. Everything approved at last, but part of the confusion could be so many different departments involved, and what appears to be little internal communication. The left hand does not know what the right hand is doing. An example of the level of confusion. Most of the time, my application was dealt with by the Durham office, yet this final message was sent from the Glasgow office, At what point did they become involved? Finally, a confirmation email from Beijing that my new passport was ready for collection. The experience of replacing my passport was at times very traumatic, and I have no confidence that the system will improve anytime soon. If you have experienced any similar problems, I would be interested to hear of your experiences. That's all for this video. If you've enjoyed watching and it's shown you a little detail of life here in China, then your subscribing to my channel would mean a lot to me. Thank you for watching. Make sure you click on the link to the next video, and until the next time, goodbye for now.